talking about, we are running a cool program right now where for 3 weeks, in every single Microsoft store, you actually have to go to any of the physical locations. We have our Surface Studio on the first floor where you have 90 seconds to pitch your startup. How can Microsoft help you be successful in your startup, and how did you come up with your idea? And based on the submissions that we get, we will pick 5 winners. The top winner will get $20,000 grant towards their business. The other 4 winners get some hardware, some gear from us, like the Surface laptop. Every single person gets flown, every single winner gets flown to Miami. They also get some time to spend with Kevin Harrington, who's going to give you some personal advice on how to start the and kind of get your business going. So, cool promo. It's free. It's right on the first floor. You'll see like a big studio, and it says "Great Business Pitch." That's the name of the promo. The other couple of things I wanted to mention, here at Microsoft, we love to have you guys at these events. So if anybody is interested in hosting their own event for their business, we love to kind of utilize the space for these type of meetups. So I left my cards on the table. You can reach out to me. Errol is also another person that's essentially in charge of setting up these events. I am the business sales specialist, so I also help businesses kind of with their hardware procurement, software, and any type of purchases as well. So if there's anything you guys need, by all means, feel free to reach out. Again, my contact is up there. But hope you guys have a phenomenal event. Good luck on your pitches downstairs, and have a great night. Thank you very much.
I recommend it. They have like a touch screen, kind of like a thing from the future. It's really, like, I just went downstairs and said, hey, show me the coolest thing in the store, right? And he took me all the way to the back, and he started showing me the thing. I'm like, holy crap, this is crazy. So, you know, maybe you could say, hey, I need this thing for my next startup, you know, and give me 20 grand plus, you know, the $10,000 screen or whatever. So, anyway, hey, it only takes 90 seconds. Let me see. Yeah, I would like to introduce John. How do you say your last name? Morabito?
Yep, you got it.
He's the SEO director at, I'll just say Flying Point Digital, but I don't know how this works. Maybe you can
don't let my parent company hear you say that. It's Women's Marketing Flying Point Digital.
Okay. All right. Okay. So let's switch out this presentation. Have you figured it out? Oh, you're already good to go.
It looks like we're good to go. Oh, thank you. Normally I get called into the conference room here and work, so to have someone else do it, it's fun. Awesome. Well, I'm really excited to talk to you guys tonight. It sounds like what I've got prepared for you is probably going to hit it right at the right level. So today we're going to be talking about how to effectively find and measure keywords. And the reason I'm emphasizing effectively here is because at times I feel like SEOs, and I know a lot of you are not really fully in the discipline of SEO, but we can kind of go a little bit too deep in our keyword research process. And even for people who are not regularly engaged in SEO, it can make keyword research sound like kind of a scary endeavor that takes a lot of time, is really confusing, and can maybe even be frustrating. So what I want to do is sort of shed some light on a quick methodology that I would recommend anyone who's starting a store, has a current store, whether you're e-commerce, whether you're a local business, this strategy will work for you to find keywords that you want to focus on. So before we get into that, just a little bit more background on myself. I've been in SEO digital marketing for over 8 years, helping to drive success for brands like Everlane, Hain Celestial. Right now my team works on 40-something different SEO accounts. And then outside of work, I actually help a lot of small local businesses here in the New York area and actually internationally. So dentists, private practitioners, lawyers, that type of stuff. In 2017, my team was nominated for Best SEO Team of the Year. And you know, I do SEO primarily, but I have experience in PPC and a number of different areas. And so I can say that the keyword research methodology here, for those of you in the paid search side of things, it'll basically be the same thing, and the tool I'm going to call out actually gives you CPCs. So same process really in terms of identifying what we're looking for here. So how to do rapid fire keyword research. In this example, I'm going to use donuts because I really like donuts. We're going to be opening a fictitious donut store. So in this example, you want to start with a handful, anywhere from 5 to 10 seed terms, as we call them, that you think your business wants to be found for. So this is pretty easy for probably anyone in the room. You can probably think of the things that you're looking for. Maybe it's designer women's clothing, maybe it's luxury hotel, whatever it is that you know you want to be found for, collect a list of the 5 or 10 terms that you're looking for. Then go to Google and start punching these things in. So when I punch in artisanal donuts, it's pretty clear to start seeing who are some of the folks who come up, at least in natural search. We're not going to really pay much attention to the local 3-pack because this is influenced by other factors. We're going to look at who's ranking in the natural SERPs. And so essentially what I did was I conducted each of these searches and I kind of just took notes on who I saw coming up across a number of them. Dough Donuts appears in most of them. The Donut Project virtually appears in all of them. Sometimes you'll find ones that really only appear in one, like Dunwell Donuts is the vegan donut shop from around here. And so what you're essentially doing is you're doing what some of our tools will do for you in identifying your competitive set through who tends to rank within natural search results. All right, so once you've got your competitive set, we're going to head over to our tools. So here. So I personally use Ahrefs, DataCube. Really, any tool that gives you the total number of keywords ranked is going to be your best friend in this process. So for those of you who maybe don't do SEO regularly, SEMrush has a tool that does this. They have a free trial. Moz just launched Domain Explorer in their Keyword Explorer tool, and you can get a Moz account for like 99 bucks a month. They have a free month trial. Ahrefs, I believe maybe is like 99 bucks a month, maybe 50 bucks a month. This tool, however, is my favorite tool. I could not live and do SEO without Ahrefs anymore. And so in this example, we're going to use Ahrefs. What these tools do is they enable you to put in the domain of a competitor and then see the total number of keywords that they rank for. Now you can also see things like what backlinks they have, what the estimated value of their traffic is, and for those of you in paid search, this tool will also give you some insight into what they might be spending based on what the tool is seeing. And so for just these 2 websites, Donut Plant has 4,800 total ranking keywords. Glaze Artisan has 1,300 total ranking keywords for small local donut shops based on these tools. If you're looking at e-commerce sites, you're probably going to want to pick something that's kind of in your weight class, right? So you're not going to put Nordstrom in there, but maybe you'll find a similar boutique retailer that's like a small designer or something like that. So if you're seeing, let's say you've got women's clothing as your target, that's probably a little bit too general. Maybe you want to do something like, beaded evening gowns or something that's a little bit more specific to your offering. So once you pop in these keywords, once you pop in these competitors, you're going to get the total number. You're also going to want to, in this fictitious example, it's Homer's Donuts. So Homer is a brand new website. It doesn't rank for any keywords. But if you did have keywords ranking, this would also be something that you're going to want to pull into your sheet. A note here, too, even if you don't have any existing rankings on your website and your website has been live for any period of time, go into Google Search Console and pull down the keywords that you have impressions against. So Google Search Console is the Google tool that tells you what's going on with your website. And in there's an analytics platform that will show you what keywords you're getting impressions against. So now that you've got these lists from the competitors, we're going to collect all of these lists into a master list or a master document. In each tab, label that with the website name where you pulled these keywords from. That'll be helpful later if you ever want to go back and do any type of analysis on other places that you might want to focus on, where they're succeeding, where they're winning. Then create a new tab, and we're going to call this tab Universe. So in this Universe tab, we're going to take keywords from each of the 5 competitors, the keywords that we have from our own rankings, and dump them into one singular sheet called the Universe. And then you're going to deduplicate. That way you're not coming up with the same keywords over and over again. And just to get us prepared for selection, we're going to create a new tab called Selected Keywords. And that can carry the same header that each of these tabs had that come out of the tool. So this is what the resulting export will look like, at least from Ahrefs. You've got the keyword, the position that the checked website ranks in, their previous position, the volume, or actually, sorry, this is a position change, the volume that that keyword gets. So as you can see here, this is a pretty popular donut place. Donut Plant NYC gets 1,100 monthly searches. At this point, you're going to want to filter out your brands. So take the keyword column here and start filtering. This is your universe tab, and start filtering by the various brand names. That way, when you're going through, you don't have to overlook those, or not overlook, but train your eye to ignore brand terms you're not going to select.
Could you elaborate on the volume? So it's number of searches that shop shows up in? Or appears
Oh,
in?
that's a great question. So the monthly searches is the number of times that this exact phrase, as you see it here, is searched within Google on a monthly basis. And that's really your biggest insight into where there's opportunity. So these are brand terms. We'll talk a little bit more about how you're selecting these in a second. But thank you for pointing that out, that I kind of brushed over that. All right, so now we've got 4,000, in this example, we've got 4,712 unique keywords from those 5 different websites for a small local donut shop. I gotta tell you, when I went in to do this, I didn't think I was gonna find 5,000 keywords for a donut shop. And that's after having deduped. So now that we've got all these keywords from all of our competitors, which is really ultimately where you want to play, right? If someone who, in this example, we're talking about donut shops, one donut shop is not too different from another. One doctor's office is not generally too different from another. Maybe e-commerce websites get a little bit more complex in that you want to analyze yourself against people who have your same product offerings, or maybe the types of hotels you want to analyze yourself against other luxury boutique hotels. I'm just assuming you're a luxury boutique hotel because you're French. Are you guys? No? No? It's just a French hotel?
It's luxury on mid-scale, but...
Okay.
It does walk.
Okay, great. So maybe it's just French hotels is the keyword that you're looking for. So now you've got all these keywords. These are basically where we want to play. We're going to start selecting what makes sense for us to go after and track on a weekly or monthly basis. That way we know how we're progressing when we launch our website, when we do our optimizations, when we actually start doing the work of SEO. So you're going to start by difficulty, volume, and current ranking of the competing pages, or of the competing ranking keywords, in order to find keywords that you want to focus on. And then personally what I do is I select and I change the color of the tab. So this is what the resulting research is going to look like, where you've got each tab from each of your different competitors. You've got a universe tab, and this is just a raw list of all of the keywords. And then within this universe tab, you'll start going through and just coloring keywords that make sense. Now, how do we figure out what keywords make sense? First, you're going to want to look at volume, position, and difficulty score over here. So difficulty score is a score, and this is competitive. There's keyword difficulty, there's difficulty in Ahrefs. There's basically this metric from every SEO tool out there. They all basically do the same thing. They tell you on a scale of 1 to 100, how difficult do they think it's going to be for you to go out and rank for that term. It's basically for anyone to rank for that term, not necessarily your website. So in this case, Ripple Donut has a difficulty of 1, but has 900 monthly searches. So what's going on here is that this company basically thought of the Ripple Donut, and they're doing all of this marketing to generate demand for the Ripple Donut. And now people are searching the Ripple Donut, but no one else has the Ripple Donut. And so this would be an example, if I was a donut maker, I'd say, maybe we need to have a Ripple Donut, and maybe I need to put it on my menu and put it up on my website. Or similarly, maybe a rainbow donut, right? Like a Ripple Donut might be kind of like their thing, like a cronut, right? You can't just go in on the cronut, that's someone else's thing. But a rainbow donut, that's like an Italian cookie. That you can't own that, right? So I could go make a rainbow donut, and that has a difficulty of 8, but has 350 people searching for it. So in these examples, I guess what I'm trying to show you is in each of these examples, my competitor ranks in the top 10, which means I, as a donut shop, have a chance to rank in the top 10. Each of these has decent monthly searches. In other words, there's people searching these things. It's not 10 people per month. It's not 0. This is some good volume. There's a lot of people who look for this. And it has a relatively low difficulty score, right? And these difficulty scores, as I said, are going to indicate how likely I might be able to rank for something. So in an example where you have a website that already ranks for even 50 keywords, right? Those 50 keywords have their own difficulties, and you can look at the difficulty of those keywords to ascertain roughly what difficulty you might be able to go after.
So the 86 is very difficult?
Yes.
Yes, yes. The higher the difficulty, the more challenging it is to rank for that term. So you're looking for lower difficulty.
Means that it's impossible to get on that spot, or do you need to create the best piece of content that could get you into the top position? Because there's like other meetups now, is like, hey, if you want to rank at Google #1, there's a formula how you can do it, right? Like,
Yeah,
just
there
rank
always
something.
is. There always is. So I don't want to get too into the weeds, but these difficulty scores are based on scores that are derived from, I'm going to try to not give you guys a seizure here, these metrics. So these metrics, URL rating and domain rating, are authority metrics. And these authority metrics are built out of the number of referring domains. So think about it kind of like votes in a democracy.
That's still the case, it's referring domains.
Yeah. It's the difficulty score is basically a roll-up of what is the landscape of domain rating and URL ratings for the people in the top 10. If the top 10 is largely made up of sites with really high domain ratings and URL ratings, you're going to have a high difficulty score. If you see in the top 10 that most people have low domain rating, and you're going to have a lower difficulty score. So it's not really, you mentioned the best piece of content, and you should always be trying to create the best piece of content, but it's not so much a qualitative metric as it is regards to authority and how many backlinks your website has. So what that metric tells us is, with very few backlinks and very little authority, I can go out and rank for those terms. Now, if I wanted to go after something with a little bit more, needing a little bit more authority, glazed donuts, for example, it's a little bit funny we're talking about donuts so intently, but in that example, glazed donuts would be something where maybe you have a little bit more domain authority, you have a little bit stronger of a website. But personally, with a new website, I would focus on the lower difficulty keywords, because those are ones you'll probably be able to win on.
You said go by difficulty first, then volume, and then position, right?
There's no specific order that you need to do. So thanks for pointing that out. There's no specific order that you need to do it in. Personally, I'll start by like putting filters. Maybe I'll look at what my competitors have in the top 10. And then once I'm looking at the top 10, I'm selecting by, does it have enough volume, and do I think I can win it? Then once I've found enough keywords from there, maybe I'll move down the list and I'll say, let me look at all the high volume keywords, and I'll sort by high volume. And then I'll look and I'll say, is my competitor anywhere in the top, even top 30 for that term? If no, no matter how high the volume is, I'm probably not going to be able to go out and rank for that term in many cases. So I'll just keep looking for ones where it's good volume and they're ranking, somewhere in the top 50. Maybe it doesn't have to be on page 1, but they're ranking for that term. It's not like they're 97. In this example, these are going to be local 3-packs. So they're ranking for donuts near me, but not like on a national level. That's going to be very geo-specific, right? For these phrases like donut delivery NYC, they're ranking on a national level at that term. And this is it's a little bit weird because we're looking at local keywords in a national rank tracker. But after you look at volume, then you might look at difficulty. You might say, what are the lowest difficulty terms that my competitors rank for, and see if any of those are interesting to you. So it's really just about using position, volume, difficulty, and sorting through those to see where you might be able to surface some interesting queries.
What is the last column? Traffic and
So traffic is basically an estimated. Not all tools have that, so this is only if you use Ahrefs, but it's basically assuming a ranking position of 1 and 900 monthly searches based on the landscape and the average click-through rate of a #1 ranking position. That's how much traffic they're estimating the page is getting. So in essence, a #1 ranking position will typically get around 30%, but that's if there's not a local pack, 4 ads, a side rail and all this other distracting stuff in the SERP. So what this actually speaks to is what is the actual, SERP landscape? What is the ranking of the keyword? What's the volume? And then what's the predicted amount of traffic that that website is getting off of that term? So that becomes interesting when you look at like a position, maybe not so interesting with the position 5 because it says they're only getting 6, but these are just estimated traffic figures off of what it thinks it's going to get off that position. Personally, I don't use that traffic figure for anything other than directional information because it's not going to be accurate. It's just estimated if they don't have their analytics or anything like that. So you sort through, you start getting down into what you're looking for, and then basically build out a portfolio of, depending on your brand or depending on your website, usually I start with about 50 to 100 keywords that I want to focus my optimization efforts on. Before you start tracking stuff, you want to start categorizing this. And this is going to come in handy when we start talking about the challenges that maybe people, I didn't hear too many agency folks in here. So at least in agency world, one of the challenges we have a lot in reporting, and you might have in reporting your results up to financial partners, partners, business owners, people who are your boss, whoever. So categorize your keywords by different facets. One of the facets would be intent. So Google right now is on a big tear with micro moments. I want to know, I want to go, I want to do, and I want to buy. And these micro moments essentially define over 200 different intents that Google has identified that users have when they execute a given query. So there's the keyword, but then there's the intent behind that query. And so I break up my keywords by things like I want to know, I want to do, I want to go, I want to buy. And those would be like location keywords. Maybe those are your I want to go. I want to know would be like how many calories in a donut. That's something where people want to know something. And so by breaking them out into these different sections, you can have a better understanding of sort of siloing your strategy based on different levels of the funnel. So you're going to speak to people in their research phase, you're going to speak to them in the phase where they're looking to navigate to your store, and you're going to speak to them in the phase where they're looking to convert and purchase. Location. You might have multiple locations if you're tracking your hotels on a national or international scale. You might want to have location. Service offering the product for private, like a chiropractor or a doctor's office or a dentist. You might break this out by like the different treatments or services that your practice offers. That way you know, okay, I've got 5 keywords for dental implants, I've got 5 keywords for Invisalign, and I've got 5 keywords for fillings or something like that. And then do it by all of the above. One of the things I see a lot of times is people just categorize their keywords by one facet. So they'll call, these are our keywords for this, these are our keywords in this bucket. I encourage people to always use multiple. So you should have, in any of these tools, Ahrefs, Moz, you can tag a keyword multiple times. So you can have one keyword with, these are my research keywords, but they're also my keywords about this service offering. And so now you've got them multiple layers that you can start to tell stories about your performance in a given area versus talking about a specific keyword. So can you go deeper when it comes to keyword research? Yes, definitely, probably. But is it always necessary? Probably not, is kind of my summation here, right? Is that there's a lot that you can find to work on and start creating the next piece of content, building the next category page on your e-commerce website, or doing the next thing that's going to bring you traffic versus spending time in the data and in the weeds and looking for keywords. Usually the keywords that are important to you are right there in front of you on your competitors' websites, ranking in Google already, right? So if you wanted to go deeper, there's some ways that you can go deeper without getting sucked in. One of the ways I like to interact with my clients is to, I'm going to go out of order here, is to get synced up with their product release calendar, their content calendar. Stuff's going on way down the line that you should be preparing for on your website today and starting to think about how can we lay the foundational research groundwork for that new line of dresses that we're going to release, or that new promotion that we're going to offer, or that new product that we're going to release, right? You can start to lay the groundwork within your keyword research before it even happens. This is kind of more of a point for people like the agency side, but clients will love that. If you're saying, hey, I want to know what's going on in your business. We are not here just for results for today. We're here for results for tomorrow. Like, what's happening in your business 6 months, 5 months, 12 months, a year from now. 12 months and a year are the same thing. I meant to say 5 years. Conduct content gap analysis. So we looked at what are competitors doing, or what are they ranking for right here within our own niche, within our own business. But in the case of the donut shop, let's say, for example, maybe you know you're going to have donuts, but you're also going to have croissants. Or you're also going to have like a few different pastries. You might then go into your keyword research and start looking at French bakeries in your area and what types of things they rank for, as an example. So the idea here is start your keyword research as if it was a target here in the very most center circle. Build out into the other concentric circles with things that are maybe a little bit more tangentially connected and maybe not so intent-driven based on exactly what you do or offer. Sometimes there you can find some good insights, and that's really where, like, in agency world, keyword research for us can take anywhere from 5 hours, depending on the agency, to 20, 40 hours that can be spent on one singular keyword research project to get down to 100 keywords. And that's cool, and a lot of what we do spend the time on is this type of stuff, right? It's going through stuff that may or may not be related to our business. And so this is one way you can go deeper, but you don't really need to do that to get to the good stuff. Topical research, and that again is kind of just like manually seeding into your keyword research tools. You know, I want to rank for donuts, and then look at 50,000 keywords related to donuts. That's kind of how most people do keyword research, is they go to the keyword research tool, here's some keywords I want to rank for, let me sort through the keywords that the tool spits back. That's going to result in a lot of time going through keywords that are meaningless for you. But if you want to go deeper, that's where you go. All right, so moving on. Before we move on with that, any questions? No? Okay.
I have like, you might go into it, how to build up domain authority.
Yeah, so I could talk to you about that all day. This is mostly about
because
keyword
and
research.
maybe that's for the end, right? Like
Yeah, we'll talk about that.
I think that's super relevant because if you have an e-commerce brand or any type of website, how do you get there, right?
I'll give you one free one. You can start a meetup, or you can sponsor a meetup, and you can get on their sponsors page. Yeah, sponsors. No, I'm dead serious. I literally, so I'll divert for a second here. Meetup.com is literally one of my backlink strategies that I introduce to clients at an enterprise level. Because look at what
Go to our website, look on the sponsorship. You can see when a former sponsor started sponsoring, and it's a chart from Ahrefs. You see how it goes up like a rocket. Like Meetup is like a number 7 social media platform.
Yeah, it's like a number 9 domain authority. Yeah. So seriously, I kid thee not. I have gotten multiple clients links on Meetup.com. What we do is I have a ping pong paddle company. They sell ping pong paddles. They're an e-commerce website, do custom ping pong paddles. There's like 30,000 ping pong meetups across the country. So we hit them up and said, hey guys, we really love what you're doing. We want to sponsor you. We'll send you either 20 ping pong balls with your logo on them, or 10 paddles with whatever you want printed on them. For the brand, it cost them, I think, $200 or something like that. And they got a do follow 90 domain authority backlink from meetup.com. You know, not a huge page authority, so we could talk about how, you know, domain authority is really not a thing that people looks at. They look at page authority, right? Page rank is how the metric, or how the algorithm works. But anyway, so yeah, meetup.com is one way to do that. And we'll talk about some link building ideas, but this is a little bit earlier on. So just a quick poll, is anyone currently tracking keywords? Like looking at keywords that you're optimizing against? Okay, all right. Are you tracking more than 100? Nope. Okay, 2 of us. So probably anyone more than 500? For one site, one singular site.
Yeah, 11,000.
Okay, 11,000 for one site, and you're tracking that,
Yeah.
and you're paying for that.
Yeah.
You're crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you use any of these tools that look at total keywords ranked?
I'm using SEMrush.
Okay, SEMrush is pretty good. Ahrefs index is a little bit bigger.
A little bit bigger.
A lot bigger. I use SEMrush too, and I put that actually in my Data Studio reports, and we're going to talk about that in a minute actually. Okay, so this is kind of where I was going. I felt like I was chasing the dragon in my SEO strategy, right? I'm working with clients. They have websites that rank in these tools for 500,000, 1 million keywords. But we're looking at 100 keywords, trying to understand what's going on in their website, where we need to focus efforts. So at times, the very, agencies made this thing of like, here's your keyword portfolio. Like, we made this. This was of our making. Clients didn't come to us and say, hey, you know what I really want? An export of all my keywords and tell me what the rank is. That was totally something we as SEOs made. But now we're kind of in trouble, right? Because you got to keep feeding the dragon, so to speak, here, or you're feeding the beast, chasing the dragon. I got my phrases messed up there. So what are some of the problems with keyword tracking? Well, they're kind of like Homer's brain over here, and they focus on what is essentially too small of a data set for most websites. For many of your websites, even 500 keywords will pretty much cover you off. But when you start to rank for, some of my small business freelance clients rank for 5,000 keywords. So even then, I'm tracking, 500 of the 5,000. Really what we need to be doing is getting our clients, getting ourselves, getting our business partners, getting our, managers to be focusing on that total number of keywords ranked metric, as well as some other things that I'm going to talk to you about. Clients in upper management, they get hyper-focused on singular rankings and phrases, while very rarely asking about real measurements when it comes to SEO. So this is something I personally encounter a lot with clients who get, maybe not a lot, but in the past you'll have a client who gets really hung up on one particular keyword. They're not a client anymore, so I can mention the keyword. So I had this one client who was obsessed with container security. And they would Google container security, as in like Docker containers, like, the whole tech world. And so they Google container security every day. And I get emails, hey, we dropped from number 3. We're number 4 now. What are you going to do to get us back up to, and just like people get very, very focused on singular keyword rankings. Maybe even yourself has felt that about getting really focused on a singular keyword ranking. And that really doesn't speak to what's actually going on. During the time that we're freaking out about that keyword ranking, I'd be willing to bet that revenue and traffic are doing just fine. Unless something really bad did happen, and then you need to be looking at what's going on with your revenue and traffic, not that keyword. Rankings alone do not adequately demonstrate performance. So we just kind of talked about that. Like, the ultimate goal of SEO is to drive revenue for your website. So you might have keywords going up and down, up and down, up and down. But if revenue's not doing anything, then you're looking at the wrong keywords, right? And so forget looking at those and wondering why is this not doing anything, because the ones that go up don't do you any good over here. And then if you're looking at keywords and they're going like this, and then your revenue's just going up, and you're spending time worrying about why my keywords are going down, you're missing the forest for the trees, you're not analyzing why I'm having this growth, and you're not leaning into that growth. Real rankings are subject to personalization, while tracked keywords are not. So when we Google something, everything we Google, particularly in the new sort of semantic web world, is subject to basically our past web searches, right? So when we look at rank tracking, which again was designed and built of a time that we're not living in anymore from SEO, it's sort of stateless, if you will. There's no cookie history, there's no history for this user. And so there is no personalization to the rankings that we see in our rank tracking software. And that makes sense because we don't want it to be subject to us checking our clients all the time. But at the same time, that doesn't speak to what real people out there in the world are experiencing, right? Because their searches are subject to personalization. We cannot fathom the number of combinations that might lead to Google reorganizing things based on their personalized web history and their data. So at times, keyword rankings kind of fail, in my opinion, because of exactly that. Because they don't speak as often as they should to intent. So what do you do instead, right? Instead of focusing on singular keyword rankings, I am a big believer in focusing on the rankings of groupings of keywords and thinking about your visibility, like Monty Burns over here, through a specific area of keywords. So this is a grouping of keywords from the Hamptons, which have an aggregate search volume of 9,210. I'm tracking, it looks like in this case, this is a really small data set of 6 keywords. But instead of looking at just Hamptons real estate every week, how are we doing for Hamptons real estate, right? We show the client how are we doing for all of our Hamptons keywords. All 6 or 7 or 8 or 10 or 50 of those keywords we determined are important for the Hamptons. And so it's not about a singular keyword's performance, it's about our performance in aggregate across that sort of corner of the web, if you will. All of those Hamptons related keywords. When you start to have those conversations, you are subject to less of why did that go down, why did that go up, why are we not moving here? And you realize, hey, in this particular instance, we hold one of the more dominant market shares. So while we might go down a little bit, outside of Element, Zillow, and that's really it, we're the 3rd top site for this. And so that can, again, help to kind of quell any, whether it be your manager, your client, or your partner in the business, any worries there, right? Another problem with focusing on traditional keyword portfolios. I've been doing SEO for 8 years. I made this keyword portfolio a year ago for a really, really big brand that's really, really important to us. It sucks. It's the worst keyword portfolio. I made bad decisions left and right. They were bad in that I got a little ahead of myself and went for really, really competitive head terms because they were already ranking really well for things like cashmere or backpacks, like crazy well against ridiculous terms that you probably never think you could rank for. So I said, all right, let's go with that. And so I have a lot of keywords in this portfolio of 100 keywords. This is stacked rankings of how many we have on page 1, 2, and 3. And I have a lot of really difficult terms in here that I've been working on for over a year. And over that year, yeah, we went from having 4 keywords on page 1 to 9 on page 1 now. That's not really super exciting stuff. So if I'm just focused over here, I miss the forest for the trees. Again, as I keep saying, I gotta come up with a new term. I missed this. The total number of keywords ranked for this website during the same time period that my keyword portfolio was just kind of like, meh, right? We went up 136%. This is their total Ahrefs, total keywords ranked. So again, like, if we focus too much on selected keywords, portfolio keywords, these are the keywords we gotta win against, we're not thinking enough about just what else is going on our website, right? And as you can see over here, they went from having 30,000 to having 70,000 keywords. By the way, this translated into an $8 million increase for this client over that year. $8 million bucks, doing some SEO. Pretty cool, right? I'll probably never do that again in my career, by the way. All right, so what else to do? So say you have a subset of pages on your website. Maybe you're looking at product pages for an e-commerce website. You just launched a new section of products. Maybe you are a national chain of blowout salons, like one of my clients. So I just made some changes on their title tags, and instead of showing them the 50 keywords we track against their locations, I wanted to show them the real results behind the changes that I made. So in this sense, we track 50 keywords, but this client, she could care less about the 50 keywords that we track. She really doesn't care. That's for me and my stuff over there to figure out what I'm doing to optimize against them. All she cares about is these results. So what I did here is I built a Data Studio dashboard. Is anyone using Google Data Studio at all? Even in the least? Okay. Do you guys use Google Analytics?
Yes.
Okay. Oh my God, use Google Data Studio. Right? Like, you ever go in there and you click around like 5 times to get to the same report every day, right? Data Studio enables you to do drag and drop data visualizations using your Google Analytics data, but you can also weave into it Google Search Console data. And over here, I have a connector. They're called connectors, kind of like an API, that can bring in SEMrush data. So for you, buddy, you've got SEMrush, you can pull SEMrush into your Data Studio dash. And what I did here is I set up, this is like one big long dash. So I've got, here's your sessions. These are all just our location pages, just location pages. This is how many sessions, users, year over year for a month time period. Or actually, that's not a month, that's like 2 weeks, it looks like. The pages that they're getting landings on, and all of the total keywords. I mean, really, to be totally honest, all she cares about is sessions and revenue. right? That's what people want to see from the work of your SEO. So all too often, what are you guys doing in SEO? We have these keyword rankings. Well, okay, what does that do for me, right? So back off of the keyword stuff a little bit, and then start, I'm sure everyone looks at this stuff, right? But I think my message is more about how you frame the conversation around SEO, in that it's not about this keyword or that keyword, it's about all the keywords. And then furthermore, it's about what we get from all those keywords, which is revenue and traffic. All right, so where are we at? Wow, I've been talking for an hour? Oh my God. So I basically, that was all of the keyword research stuff. I will, since everyone, how are we doing for time? I can get through this in just a few minutes if you guys want to hear something else. So is anyone familiar with featured snippets?
Keep on going.
Okay. Featured snippets, when you type a question into Google and the answer comes right up in the top, right? So if you, even if you're an e-commerce brand, even if you're a local business, these are going to be your best friend as voice search kind of starts to evolve, right? And so right now in voice search, many of the replies that are read aloud for a question, FAQ type thing, is based on a featured snippet response. Excuse me. So this is a little methodology I put together for how we at the agency, it's a little bit stripped down from how we do it, actually go about finding these featured snippet opportunities. And so what you can do is you can use that same Ahrefs tool to basically build a list of keywords that you can go out and build content for that will eventually rank in these featured snippets. So Answer the Public is actually a tool I didn't mention. Excuse me. Is there another water? Well, it's all right if not. I think I mean. This tool, Answer the Public, is basically just one big search box. And you can punch in a question. You don't have to go get it or anything, it's fine, don't worry about it. You can punch in a question or a keyword, and it will give you this crazy visualization of who, what, when, where questions, and then it gives you a raw export list. It's basically a Google Suggest API, but it just has a cool graphic, right? Nothing special, but what it does is it categorizes stuff by question, comparison, preposition, and then breaks out things into alphabetical Google Suggest keywords, and it's totally free. So I use that to go, let's say we're doing the blow dry salon. I put in, or actually this one, it says, looks like wedding dresses. All right, so I put in wedding dresses, and it's gonna give me all of the questions that it has in its index around who, what, when, where, why, best, all this things that people ask around wedding dresses. I then take that and head over to Ahrefs or Moz or SEMrush, any tool that tells you what's in the search results, basically like there's images, there's local packs, there's featured snippets, right? So Ahrefs will tell you exactly what types of search results there are. Featured snippet, related questions, video, knowledge card. These are the types of things that you want to know what's in the landscape for. We take our list of around 1,000 questions, usually is what it will output depending on what you put in there. And you can put multiple keywords in there and build up multiple lists. Take that, go over to Ahrefs, import all those keywords into the Ahrefs Keyword Explorer tool, and then from there you build a list. You download that list and then sort by featured snippet. So essentially all I'm doing is I'm using a keyword tool that basically only gives me questions. Then I'm punching those questions into a tool that tells me whether or not there is one of these featured snippets in the search results. So in this particular instance, I took like 1,200 keywords, and because they were virtually all questions, 1,077 of them have this type of featured snippet result, which means that now if I have enough domain authority, or I have good enough content, or I have expertise in an area, I can go build that content around it. So how do we actually build the content? So a great way to spot a winner would be to take a look at a given result. And this is one of the interesting things about featured snippets, is that they do not all come from the #1 ranking result, and they do not all come from domain authority 50 websites. There's plenty of instances of domain authority 10 websites that are the featured snippet result. So in this particular instance, this is from one of my other speeches, what is position B. Position V is something I'm basically coining as the number one ranking result for voice search, but in this case, Google thinks, what is position V? It thinks it's part of this autocomplete. In other words, it thinks it's a completely different thing. This isn't what I'm talking about, nor is it what any user ever punched in is talking about. Like if it wasn't me, they don't mean versus time graph. It's not an incomplete query. And even if it is, now there's an opportunity for me to come in and say, okay, well, they're not adequately answering that question. And this could apply, maybe not for something not wonky, but just anything. Like I said, there was an example where for a while, what made the dinosaurs go extinct was answered by someone with a page that was like just nonsense about like, because like God hated the dinosaurs or something like that. And that was what Google was giving as an answer. Now that's been since replaced by a better piece of content, which is what you can do. You can look at these queries, look at what's a bad answer. And I'm thinking about your website too, because one of the most surprising things is for the wedding dress client, right? They had category pages where we had descriptions of the category on the bottom of the category page with SEO text and all that stuff, and that stuff ranked in featured snippets for questions around like beaded blouse and gown or something like that. And for whatever reason, like Google is so hungry for this content because they want to feed this voice search revolution that they're pulling in all sorts of stuff. So get out there and start creating content for it. One of the ways to really easily do so is to think about structuring the physical content of the page, right? So Google loves ordered lists. And look at if it's best apps for, I wrote a blog post recently, best metronome apps for musicians, right? If the number one ranking result of featured snippet has a numbered list of 10 things, I'm going to go write the best one of 20 things. And I'm going to make it better than that one, and I'm going to do it in the same structured format. If the answer is like a paragraph with like a header, or just paragraph format, then you can do a nice header that has your question, or has your topic, and then a short, concise answer. Part of what will kill you is if you're answering it like this, right? Like Google wants to just have a bite-sized thing that they can parse out that answer and point directly to, this is the answer you're looking for. So just structuring your content in that way can be really helpful. So that's pretty much it. I just wanted to throw that in as a little bonus there in terms of keyword research from a different angle. If you, okay, that looks misspelled to me, but it's right. If you want to email me, my email is JMORABITO. If you don't have these tools and you're like, oh man, this guy's giving me research ideas for stuff I can't do, send me your website and send me 2 or 3 competitors, and I'll give you these exports. And you can go do this. I'll just give you the data. If you want to check out our agency, womensmarketing.com, flyingpointdigital.com. Basically, the deal there is Women's Marketing bought Flying Point Digital, and we are about to become one company. But if you guys are looking for help at like an agency level, you can reach out to me there. At that, I figured any questions, and it doesn't have to be about this stuff, like literally anything SEO, try and stop me. What's up?
If you're starting a site from scratch, is there like a minimum amount of pages you should have so that you can actually make sense and rank your SEO?
What kind of website is it?
Let's just say it's a blog or a job board, just something that you're just building from scratch. Because the thing is that it's always easy to start something from scratch as opposed to working on something that already has been around for the past 2 years.
Oh yeah, totally. I mean, I know I mentioned I work on a lot of big like enterprise sites, but I build websites and launch new websites regularly. So like I totally feel you, been there. I would say there's no magic number, right? Like you could have the best 2 pages on the web, a home page and a resource page about that thing, and that one page might get more links and more equity and more ranking signals than anyone else with that page, and you've got one great page. Right? You've got a website with one great page. That's totally possible. Google doesn't look at your website as like, to a degree they may or may not, but in essence there's no like rule that says you can't have a 2-page website with some great content about that thing that performs for that thing. It's just probably not likely that people are going to find your website and be like, oh my god, this 2-page website's the best thing ever, and then go start talking about it and linking to it and sharing it with people, and that's what helps really raise your website up. Like you can go out and build links till you're blue in the face, but you need a quality website that people come to, they discover, they turn around, they start linking to it, and so there's no like real answer, there's no hard fast number, but I would say you want to create a website that you feel is like a substantially quality product, right? And so like if it's a resource with 10 pages, but it's like ace, then that's fine.
Building up on the question, if we have an e-commerce brand, what's good content, right? Because from a Google perspective, it needs to be super comprehensive, and from an e-commerce brand perspective, it's very short. It focuses on imagery. Do we build up the authority through influencers that link back to our website? Because what is, from a Google perspective, great content is not necessarily hitting our target audience.
So you hit on an interesting point. For e-commerce brands, so what you're I think touching on is for some of the queries you might have looked at, you're seeing that Google tends to like long form, like editorial content, right?
Yeah.
So one of the things that we look at a lot in our sort of keyword research process, which does go a little bit more in depth, is the intent of a given query. So you can't generally change the tide of what Google thinks that query is about. And so I, for example, have a client, we did some keyword research, one of the people on my team said, hey, let's go after like best shampoo for this client. But they're a retailer, right? They're an e-commerce brand. We can't give ourselves a self-superlative of best shampoo. Because when you look at the landscape for best shampoo, it's nothing but top 10 best shampoos, best shampoo on Elle magazine, and all these other top-tier media sites. You're never going to compete there for two reasons. One, because it's owned by all those top-tier media sites with super high domain authority, and B, because Google has decided people want content. So on any given query, there is an intent that Google, it's either a fractured intent, and you'll get a little bit of both, but for certain things that are like, I mean, what kind of product do you guys sell?
Handbags.
Handbags.
Yeah.
Okay, so say you search something like, like buy Italian leather handbags online. You're not gonna find any of that editorial stuff in there, or maybe you'll find one or two, but you're gonna find a lot of e-commerce pages, right? So in essence, no, you don't need to shift up your strategy for your e-commerce pages. You might want to have content to fill the hole where the intent is such that you cannot compete in that intent without editorial content.
Okay.
But there's plenty of queries where Google doesn't want editorial content. They want your category page. They want your product page. And they know that's what people want when they search that. They don't want to read a blog post, they want to get in there and shop. And so it's about just identifying, these are the queries, and you do it by just Googling. You do it by looking at the search results and saying, you know what, my gut tells me this is research. My gut tells me this is intent to buy. And then you group your keywords by that, and then you build your strategy around that. So you've got your keywords to go out and focus on your product pages, your category pages, and usually, I will say, like, my big tip for e-commerce websites is look at your competitors' websites, look at the categories you have, because products come and go. You're constantly chasing products. Oh my God, we got to do a redirect on this product. This product became successful. Now we're losing traffic over there. We got to deal with it this way. And so you're constantly, chasing the dragon, as I say. So categories, like one of the biggest things I did for e-commerce websites when I come in is I look at their categories. I recommend categories that have meaningful intersections. So do you guys offer any vegan bags?
So yeah, it's actually purely focused on vegan.
Okay, so it's a target. It's stole my thunder. Okay,
not leather,
okay, okay. You're definitely not leather. So fine. But if you don't have a category for crossbody, for all of the different types of bag you have, right? And even if it's something that's like super, super specific, right? That's probably a better use of your time in building out content for your e-commerce site than maybe building out like a blog post about like why do you want a crossbody bag, right? Like if I had the option, I want to go for crossbody bag, forget what the exact keyword is, but conceptually I want to bring in money for my crossbody bag. I would probably focus on building categories and driving links into those categories before I would focus on generating content around crossbody bags, as an example. But yeah, it's a really fantastic question. So I really do believe that there's like an intent that Google has pretty much decided although sometimes they kind of change their mind for any given keyword. And one of the things we do is just called an intent signal analysis. So if you've already got some keywords that you track, go and look at them and then search the search results and think about what you thought was going to rank there and then what's actually ranking there, and see if there's like a dissonance between the content that you're trying to rank for that term with and what's actually out there. A great example of that is I have a client who does makeup and we wanted to go after red lipstick. And so I thought, great, red lipstick, right? It's going to be like Sephora. Well, yeah, it's going to be hard, but they're pretty big clients with pretty big domain authority. So there's going to be Sephora, and there's going to be maybe Derm Store or whatever, and what's the other one there? Blue something.
Blue Mercury.
Yeah, Blue Mercury. Thank you. But you know, I should be able to get in there. And what I found was that Google had basically decided, no, when someone searches red lipstick, they want to know what the look is. They want to know how to wear it. They want to know what shade's right for them. And so virtually, this query that sounds so intent-driven, red lipstick, want to buy red lipstick, whatever, right? It's just full of content. And so we've been pushing on that. My intent, I didn't even notice it. I had this client for 2 years. I was like, sure, red lipstick, it's really hard, you know? And then I did this intent analysis and I realized I'm trying to rank for red lipstick with my lipstick, right? When really I need to be creating resource content around it. So it's a little bit of both. I think there are times when you realize, hey, this is something that needs content, but that's not to say that Google prefers content. Google prefers to give people what they're looking for, and oftentimes that's exactly what you got. It's a category page. Anyone else?
Sorry, can you post these slides or use email?
Yeah, definitely. I'll post this on SlideShare, and then I guess we can work something.
Put it up on the website.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And if you want to email me and make sure that you get it, you can always email me, and I'll be happy to share it.
I have maybe the final question. So after you have your list of 50 to 100 keywords,
Yes.
right? I do e-commerce on Shopify.
Okay.
Okay, so now that's like my homework. So I go back into my shop,
Mm-hmm.
and then do I go product by product, and then plug in, like how do I go?
How you use those keywords,
And how do I
right?
go from those keywords to building it and implementing it into the website?
Right. So the next deliverable that we perform for our clients is called keyword mapping. And the process of keyword mapping identifies what page you're going to try to rank for a given keyword with. And so generally, I will try to only rank like a given keyword for one page, right? So I'm not going to use that same keyword on multiple pages throughout my website because that's going to cause competition and cannibalization for that keyword. You want to basically try to find a page that you can use 2, 3, 4 of those keywords on. So when you do this process, you're going to see some of this stuff kind of groups up, right? Like you might have beaded dress, beaded gaudet dress, beaded whatever, right? Beaded gown. And those all basically are going to map to your beaded gowns category. And so you would then go and change your title tag, right? Title tag and meta description is really the ground level stuff. We're going to go and say, if maybe you just, this happens all the time, just beaded. Well, we're a dress shop. We don't need to say dresses. Well, yes, you do. Oh, yes, you do. And so you might come in and it just says beaded. And so you'd have to then say, all right, well, people are searching beaded dresses. They're searching long beaded dresses. And so you might say something like long beaded dresses and gowns, bar my brand. And so it's basically where you're going with it is you're going to weave them into your title tags, but you don't want to take one keyword or 5 keywords and put them on every page of your site. That's going to be counterproductive. You want to basically try to identify groupings of keywords or a couple keywords that line up to a page and then implement them on that page through the title tag, meta description, on-page copy, H1. Basically like the category name in Shopify, that's your H1. And that, if you don't even do anything, will inform your title tag. So you theoretically could just change the H1 and like, you're done. Cool.
Do we need to repeat like the main keyword on H1, H2, and
Not necessarily, no. That should just be about what that part of the page is about. I mean, it's helpful, right? But it's not a huge benefit. Like a lot of the stuff we used to do a whole lot of in on-page SEO isn't tremendously as effective as it used to be. And I would still want to have like let's say you identify 5 keywords that make sense for your page. It's a hotel, but people want to know about pricing. And they also want to know about like specials or something like that. So you might have an H1 that's like includes your keyword plus specials or your brand name plus. So in essence, like it should be more about using your headers for all of the tangentially related concepts and calling those out as like, hey, this is part of my page. That has more value to Google than saying like, my page is comprehensive. And let's take car reviews, for example, cars, right? If you search a car model, people generally want to know the value, the average cost, does it have a lot of maintenance problems, photos, reviews, like what are the things that these car websites tend to list? If you break out your H1s as like Ford Escape photos, Ford Escape reviews, that's better than just being like Ford Escape, learn more about the Ford Escape, more Ford Escape stuff. Like you have to have that second portion of what it is that you're talking about for it to make sense to have your keyword in multiple header tags. But it's not like mandatory. I don't know, what do you think? You do a lot of header tag stuff?
Yeah, I mean, address, URL is important.
Right.
Meta tags, the H1 tags, definitely.
I touch them, but it's not something that like,
but not too much. Like in the body, it has to be limited. Like
yeah, exactly.
If I do, for example, like 60 times the same thing, it's at the same time you have to think about the person who's reading it.
Yeah, totally.
Because I use Yoast like as a widget for WordPress.
Yes.
And it's telling you like the main keyword has to appear in the URL, it has to appear on the headings 1, and in the first sentence of the first paragraph of that page in order to make an emulation.
Yoast is awesome, but it's not practical in every instance, right? Okay. And the other thing too is if you say like, New York hotel or hotel in New York, if your target keyword is New York hotel, but in your first sentence you say, we're one of the finest hotels in New York, Yoast is still going to tell you, you're not using your target keyword, but Google at this point with Hummingbird, and it's like, those are the same keyword. You don't need to worry about the order and the in and the this and the that. We do keyword research to know which one people search more, but you want to use the natural language variant because that's going to have the more natural language text and that's going to do better for you.
Knowing that like platforms like Facebook or they have like a high domain authority, how difficult is it to compete with a post on Facebook, post on Medium, Reddit? Is it hard?
So you're talking about like in the natural search results for something like a Reddit result is coming up. So even though they have a high domain authority, the PageRank algorithm is about PageRank. It's about a page-to-page link. And so those websites have many millions of pages on them. And while their domain is very authoritative, because many people link to the domain and they link to other leaflet pages on these domains, unless that page, the page you're talking about competing with, has a lot of its own equity, then yes, it's actually not beyond the pale to beat them out by just having greater page equity than them. It's really not about domain authority at all. Domain authority is the easiest way to just think about it and wrap up the fact that your website is comprised of many thousands of pages usually. It's truly on a page-by-page basis. So if you've got the Moz keyword, the Moz bar, right? You just need to look at what's page authority on this, and if I can build up my page authority greater than their page authority, you're going to be able to probably beat them out. If you've got a better page and you've got better page authority, you'll be fine. You don't need a better domain authority.
Maybe it's a little different, but I bought the product and tried to sell on Amazon.
Yes.
So, and this is now so limited from 5,000 keywords went to 250.
Are you talking about in the back end of Amazon in the search terms thing? Don't even worry about the link because they're only looking at like the first 128. You're talking about characters, right?
Characters.
Yeah.
It's just
So AVO is a whole other discipline. But what I can tell you is you can. Here's one nugget of wisdom for you. Are you repeating any keywords in your search terms? Like, so let's say you have a night cream for your face.
No, I'm not repeating, and I've been changing, and still my product is like totally lost because it's very competitive.
Yeah. Yeah, so unfortunately I don't have two, I'm on the SEO team. We actually built out an Amazon optimization team at the agency. So we specifically have staff for both the organic side and the paid side. I could maybe pass your question to one of them, but I'm not too knowledgeable in that space. Other than I know that you don't want to repeat your keywords in the back end because they just one occurrence of like cream is enough. You could say night cream, lotion, whatever.
No, what I just wanted to say, I did research the competition,
Yeah.
and I got a lot of keywords,
Right.
which just sound like didn't make sense for me at all. But out of this thousands, like how to pick the ones which you think gonna work for you.
Are you using Amazon specific keyword research tools?
Uh,
You should check out Merchant Works.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because it's a little tricky for me to speak to that
It's
because
different, right?
it's completely different. Yeah, it's completely different. And the way that you structure your keywords in Amazon is also completely different. So like literally all of my knowledge is useless there because of how different the algorithm, like the A10 algorithm is. It's a little different, yeah. Sorry I couldn't be more help there.
I do have another question.
Yeah, sure.
What is the difference? Because I used to use the keyword planner from Google. And what is the difference with like the total revamping with the Google Search Console?
Oh, wait, the difference between Google Search Console
And the keyword planner.
In terms of the metrics that you get?
No, in terms of use.
Oh, okay.
Because from what I understood, it's like.
Oh, when I said use Google Search Console earlier there, is that what you're referring to?
Yes.
I was just talking, so you would need to get the keywords, and those are just the keywords that you're getting impressions, clicks, and have ranking against.
On the console.
Yeah, out of the console.
Yeah.
Those aren't going to have your actual like monthly search volumes. You would then take that information and import it into Ahrefs. That way you have the monthly search volume of each of those keywords, the difficulty, and all that stuff. I was using Google Search Console as an example, as if your website definitely has keywords ranking, so you don't need to worry about it.
No,
But
I
if
do have like a multinational
Yeah.
teams behind it.
Yeah. So
it's fine.
if you don't have any keywords ranking in one of these tools, it might be because your website's so small that they haven't picked you up yet. But you might still be getting, if you're getting any level of traffic, Google Search Console will tell you what keywords your website is getting traffic. And for you Shopify people, Squarespace. Squarespace just launched a new tool where you can have that data right in your admin platform. But essentially that'll tell you the keyword, how many impressions, how many people saw you for that keyword, how many people clicked you, and then you can download that, and that will act as the keywords ranked for your website because that's what you're actually getting traffic against, and that's where you want to optimize. So that was the point about Search Console.
So on that, when I go into my Google Analytics, like I have about 50 other keywords that people, but when I click on it, I don't get a breakdown of what those other keywords. So is that like just that they're like all the way out on the low end of the totem pole, or?
No. So Google, up until 2012, used to, I believe 2012, pass what's called the refer. So essentially they would pass the keyword with which someone used to get to your website for every visit. And over time, they started taking that data away. It was basically in their move toward a more secure web that they basically kind of started to hide that data. So your keywords under like default channel acquisition, source overview, and GA, those are basically gone. You're seeing 1% of the total true keywords that come into the website there, and then they show them as like, other, like not found or whatever. Not available. No, it's not found, right? Unavailable. They've got different names for it. So Google Search Console kind of gives you that back. So Google Search Console will show you the keywords you're actually getting impressions for that GA hides. If you sync up your GA and Google Search Console account, there's a tab for Search Console and it's virtually the same thing. But I have a feeling the tab you're looking at is not where you want to be. That's like the old data that they don't update anymore. It's kind of weird. But they still give you keyword impression data in Google Search Console. Do you have a Google Search Console account? Yeah. Do use that, and furthermore, use the new version. At the top right or top left, it'll say try the new Search Console beta. Use that because it has 16 months of data.
Okay.
Yeah. Cool. Any other questions?
Is it necessary to put the keyword in the position in the page?
toggle button keyword.
Is it necessary? It helps to have it toward the top of the page, definitely, but it's, you know, like, if your keyword only appears at the very bottom of your page for the first time, it's probably not going to do that well. And I say that quite literally, like in the context of all of the HTML. If you've got it in your title tag, right, that's going to happen in the HTML pretty high up in the page. Now, it's not on the page, but it's still pretty high up. That's what the page is about. So there's no like exact answer there, but Google, the higher stuff up is, the higher links are, the higher keyword occurrences are, the more value they tend to have, because Google kind of looks at it like, well, if it's at the top of the page, it must be important.
What about pages with slider designs? I've seen that.
They suck.
They suck? Yeah.
No, I'm just saying.
That's what I read.
No, they're not great for user experience in my opinion, but they don't, it's not going to affect your SEO. I will say though, if you have a slider, right, and you get text in it, it should probably be H1. It should probably be live HTML, okay, right? So like if it's like our new spring collection, spring collection is kind of lame, but like if it's like, you know, check out our new designer handbags, right? Like that's text I want on my homepage. And so I would try to seek to have my banners be live HTML whenever possible, with like images in the background, live text above.
Okay.
But, so right there, yeah, you can get your keywords right there in the banner, no problem. But if you can't do that, I wouldn't be worried about banners pushing keywords down. You're good.
Have you had a customer or a client that focused more majority on SEM? And if so, like, what's the strategy to try to promote those keywords to if we're already buying all these keywords that are getting us to rankings?
Could you repeat the question? It's a
So
little...
if, like, if a client or a company were already kind of in the search space,
Okay.
or in the paid search space, and we're already getting kind of in the first few,
Right.
and we kind of want to go more organic or shift the focus to more organic.
Sure.
What's the strategy to kind of pull out some of the keywords to them?
Gotcha, great, okay. So the question here is, if you're already performing and doing pretty well in paid search, and you want to start moving that success into more organic search, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so the first thing I would do is I would look at the keywords that you tend to have really good impressions, or more specifically good impression share and good impressions against, and then also those that you're getting a really strong click-through rate on. Even furthermore, keywords that you're getting really good conversions on are fantastic, but you could definitely just start at the stuff that you're getting a really solid click-through rate on, and then treat those as your selected keywords, right? Like you're almost using paid search as a testing ground for the way that people react to keywords in regards to your content. And then you can basically start to focus on those by, let's say, okay, so you've got a page, you're doing well on that keyword, people are clicking it, people like it, is that keyword in the title tag of that page? Like very basic stuff like that. Like, are we effectively using the language? And this will help your quality score, this will help your conversion rate for the paid search stuff too, because you're connecting with what the person's actually searching in the ad, in the copy. I don't know if that really answered your question totally though, by the way you're looking at me.
No.
Is that good?
Yeah.
I would basically use performance data to inform what keywords I'm going to focus on out of my paid search campaign, and then I would take those keywords and I would do traditional on-page SEO with them. Make sure they're in your copy, make sure they're in your title tags, make sure they're in your H1s, make sure that they're just effectively used on the page, but you don't need to go crazy. They don't need to all be there 50 times.
Sorry,
No, don't be sorry.
At the beginning of the presentation, I remember like the shop of donuts. You see like the first box, which was not a Google zero ranks because there was like several shops.
Yeah.
And there were above the SEO rankings.
Right. So local stuff.
How do you manage to get into that? Because if you pay, you won't get there.
Right.
And if you do SEO, you won't get there.
So actually, I'll correct you on a bit. So the question was, at the beginning of the presentation, I was pointing out that we're going to only look at competitors who are in the natural SERPs, not in that local 3-pack of the maps. And he was asking basically, how do you get into the maps, right? Yes. Okay. And that's super important for your business too, because people look for that stuff there. And also semantic markup. There's a lot of stuff for hotels. So in essence, local search is about a few different things. First of which is, geo, right? So you have to be near, right? You have to literally be in proximity for that to even be a possibility. Once your proximity needs are sort of met based on the radius Google thinks you're kind of able to serve, it's all about your reviews, citations. So reviews, strong signal, pretty obvious. Citations
from the domain authority,
or
reviews on
Google.
Like
No, on Google Plus. On Google.
Oh, on Google.
Yeah. So the little star ratings, that stuff is like gold to them. So the more reviews your local location page has,
the more 5 stars you got.
Yeah, absolutely. Furthermore, I am a partner with Yext. I love Yext, and it helps me to publish my local listing data across like 72 different websites and make sure that that information is consistent. In that case, it's not really about a backlink, as Google's seeing name, address, phone number consistently across all these data sources. So then it says, hey, you know that information I have about your website? I see it's the same everywhere else, that must be true. I'm going to trust that information, and I will award you in the search results.
I'm using more than Yext, but you cannot reach 100%.
Oh, you can't reach someone at Monster
Yeah, I
yet?
cannot reach 100%, it's too complex.
Yeah, well, I've got some issues with that, but you know what? If you want, reach out to me. I'll try to help you in any way I can. Like, I can take a look at what you got set up. I've used both of them. I think both are fine. Moz works just fine too.
They're working.
Yeah.
Just like to reach the last.
Sure.
Like
I think
95% to 100%.
That's not always worth it though. Really, like the time you'll spend to get that like perfect score.
Yeah.
Just go get reviews.
But it's in order to get to the box.
Oh, to get to the box. Yeah.
I'm using them to get to the end to get to.
Do you have location pages for every different? Well, obviously, right? Like each location, each hotel has its own page on your main website.
Yes, but we do have like a brands.com, like a group's website, and after hotel does have microsite.
That might be part of. That might be part of your problem.
at some point, which is why I cannot reach 100%.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I mean, one thing that can be helpful is if you've got multiple locations, make sure you have a location page. Make sure that location page has your location in the title tag. So if you're a clothing, or if you're a blowout salon, right? Blowout salon, Midtown Manhattan, bar, brand name. Make sure that you've got that basic on-page stuff, and then make sure you link your Google My Business profile to that page. Now the Google My Business profile has the page for that specific location with all that specific locale information. And then you can do like schema markup. Actually, I just did a webinar on voice search, and about a third of it is on local SEO and what to do for local SEO. And so if you email me, I can send you the link to that, and you can watch it.
Sounds good.
All right.
If it's okay, we'll post that too. So
Yeah, absolutely. I'll send that to you to repost.
All right. Well, thank you so much,
Thank you
everybody.
so much, guys.